All right, people, I'm gonna be smiling a lot in this video. This one's fun. I don't know what this says, but these are all my subwoofers with the exception of the white one. Like, this is mine in the garage. I actually have two of these in the OG studio garage here at Yarn Building. This is the Sub 9S from my desk in the podcast studio. This is mine from my other desk in the Yarn Building. This is the Sub 18S. This is mine. I have two of these, actually I have three of these at my house. This is the Sub 6. This is from my garage in my my home garage. I have two of them there, and then one in my home theater in my family room. So, as you can see, I've gone pretty deep into the Dynaudio subwoofer world, and I'll be honest with you, I had no intention of even buying these, let alone carrying them. The only reason I bought them was so that I could say that I bought the entire Dynaudio line except the Confidence, which I hope to acquire and have at least in my possession for a little while for someday in the future. So, I only ordered them just because I had to, and I actually had this subwoofer at my desk prior to even becoming a Dynaudio dealer. I bought this retail on my own prior, and I like it. But we'll talk about where the Sub 9S and Sub 3 apply. But what I'm really surprised is I've got a core sub and then the Sub 18S and 6. So we'll explain how they're similar and different. But the real surprising thing to me is I actually like the Dynaudio subwoofers more than I like the Dynaudio regular stereo speakers and wireless speakers. I'm telling you, I took a JL Fathom F113 out of my home theater and put a Sub 6 in, and I like it considerably more. It's just, it's not JTR massive amplitude. Like, if you guys have been following me for a while, you saw that the 4000 ULF I had that was 42 or 44 inches deep and it came up to my neck. It's not on that level as far as output, but the quality, I'm telling you, the punch, the low frequency hit that you get from these is extremely musical. But what I'm really surprised is even watching movies, they're really, really stout, really great. So let's start with the little guys, and then we'll jump into the big guy here. And so we have two subs that look identical. Let me move this thing out of the way. This is 108 pounds, so it's not super simple to move around. But let's just make our video look terrible and get these out of the way so that I have some room to talk. It's literally 108 point something pounds. It's a brick. So the Sub 3, this is the little guy. So this is a 9-inch woofer, single sealed 9-inch enclosure. And then the Sub 9S, same thing, single 9-inch enclosure. And the first thing you'll notice, obviously there's black and white. The Sub 3 comes in black or white. The Sub 9S, I think, only comes in black. Pretty sure. Let me just clarify that. The Sub 9S is in the pro audio realm and really designed to work with. Yeah, it only comes in black satin. So this is a satin, not a gloss finish. And so these two, where they differ is that the Sub 3 is technically the speaker that's designed to work with the regular passive, the regular stereo speaker line, the emits, and also compare with Evokes. I think it's kind of getting out of its league when you start to go to Contour. Certainly, if you go to Confidence, it's out of its league there. But the Sub 3 is really a good complement to just a nice small pair of bookshelves in a smaller, like an office or something like that. The Sub 9S is the complement to the LYD series. This is explicitly what it's made for. It's made to connect the LYD, and I'll show you the back of it. The connections are quite different. So Sub 3 is on the consumer side. Sub 9S is on the commercial side, or on the pro side, we'll call it. So the pricing is different too, and I think a lot of it has to do with the list prices on these this is the end of 2021. I expect these prices to go up as we're in a major inflationary environment. But the Sub 3 is $13.99, and then this one is $13.99 list. But we sell these, and everybody sells this for MAP. So the Sub 9S is $11.49. It's $11.50. I think is what the pricing on that one is. Yeah, $11.49 is what this one sells for. And I'd actually argue this one's probably a little bit more robust. Now, you could run either one of them in either environment, but the way that the back panel looks, now you'll notice there's a grill difference here. So the Sub 3, the consumer side, has a grill where the Sub 9S doesn't have a grill. There's no holes for the grill to install it. And then also on this side, you can get in black or white, or this one you can only get in a black finish. And the black finish on the Sub 6 it's a gloss or like a satin finish, whereas it's kind of like a crinkle, textured finish on the Pro side. The Pro side has a crinkle black only finish. The Sub 3, Sub 6 on the consumer side has like a semi-gloss finish instead of sort of that textured finish. So if you look at the back of these, they look considerably different. One is XLR and the other is RCA. And so if I come around the front here so I can see with you. So Sub 3 connectivity, and these are both done best. If you're going to connect these, it's best if you run stereo left and right connection. So if we use a Y adapter, I'll show you that in a second. Now on the Sub 9S, what you're going to do is you're going to run your speakers through the sub, and so I'm using this pretty much on desks only. You're going to run your XLR out of your audio interface into here, and then out of here into your like LYD5s or your LYD8s. And so you're crossing over the signal, subwoofer's taking what it needs and sending the rest of the signal out to the speakers, and it's a nice way to cross it over. It's a quality way to connect, and then you have your sort of your low pass filter, your connection here that you would utilize to pass the audio onto the speakers. This one you can do the same thing, but in most instances you're going to run the low frequency effects out of your receiver or out of your digital analog converter. You're going to run the subwoofer out, and you're just going to go stereo in and just leave it that way. So you run your speaker wires to your speaker, and then you'll run your RCA connection to your subwoofer. So just a different way to connect. This is RCA only. This is XLR only. Now these two is a single 9-inch. It's a 300 watt, Class D amplifier, quality Class D amplifier. These sound pretty decent. Don't buy these for your garage. Unless you have a really tiny setup, a really tiny garage, I think we can do much better for a lot less money. I'm working to get SVS involved and hopefully do some SVS subs. So the Sub 3 I don't think we'll do a lot of. The Sub 9S, this is your desk subwoofer, I'm telling you. Set this thing up with a pair of LYD5s, and you have much better than like the Yamaha studio monitors that so many people buy. We'll have a desk set up, dialed in for you. Running this with a universal audio interface is freaking incredible. Now, if you can swing a Sub 18S, which is basically 2.5 of these, you would do that. But for $1,150, and then a pair of $600, $700 studio monitors on a pair of isoacoustic stands, and this is what I have in my 10x10 studio desk setup in my in the OGHQ building next door. It's freaking incredible. Sub 3, it doesn't have enough output for even like a 20x20 garage. The room is just too big. So Sub 3 is we'll keep 1 or 2 of them in stock. This is if you're buying, again, a pair of bookshelves and you have a nice little office, and we're going to set up like a Blue Sound Power Node or something like that. Like if you had this combination with a set of like Dynaudio Emits or Dynaudio Evokes or something like that, it's a nice combination. But in most instances, differences, I'm going to recommend we save ourselves, $500-600, get ourselves an entry-level SVS subwoofer or an entry-level PSP subwoofer and call it a day. So most of the time I'm not going to recommend a sub 3, but I wanted to show it to you since we have it. The woofers are the same, the amplifiers are the same, it's just that the connectivity is different and the grill is different as well as the finish. So let's get into the subs that have frickin' changed my world, changed my mind on subwoofers in general, and that's the big boys. That's the 18S and the sub 6. That's gonna break our desk for sure. So these are the subwoofers that have changed my mind on Dynaudio subwoofers in general. So this is at my garage desk setup. So I have the yarn building garage is a giant 1,200 square foot room, and I have a pair of LYD5s. I have the Apple Pro XDR display, and then my MacBook Pro, the one that I'm revisiting in the back here as I'm looking at pricing, stuff like that, and specs. That room is much bigger, and so I have the sub 18S set up in there, whereas the 10 by 10, enclosed with 8-foot ceiling, the place where we shoot our podcast, that's where I have another set of LYD5s, but I have the sub 9S. So in a perfect world, you'd spend the extra $650. I guess that's what it is, right? $650, yeah, $650 for this. This is a $1,800 subwoofer, which is insane. But I just told you I've got a $6,000 display and a $5,000 laptop, and the audio experience is important to me. And so the audio system set up on my desk, I have the sub 18S. But this is really for your garage. If you're going to do LYD 8s, LYD 48s, even Core 59s. If you're going to do any of the studio monitor setups in your garage, we want the sub 18S. And so this is dual 9-inch. Now you'll notice the woofer is quite a bit different than the woofer that's in the smaller guys. Even though they're both 9-inch woofers, they're 9-inch in the 9S and they're 9-inch in the 18S. So it's effectively two woofers, but you can see much more robust surround, a lot more X-Max, a lot more excursion. It's a much more robust subwoofer. This has a Class D 500 watt amp, so 200 more watts. But it is a much different speaker, much different subwoofer, much different setup. The enclosure feels a little bit heftier as well. You'll notice on the back of the speaker, same thing, you have XLR connections, but they do add RCA to the 18S. So this has both type of connections. Again, these Dynaudio subwoofers do best if you run a stereo connection to them. So if we run a splitter on them, so run like a Y adapter in order to make it work. Again, might as well show you one of those while I'm here. So, and I'll show you how we'll set it up in a second, but you would run, a Y adapter like this so you can go stereo in and out. So this subwoofer, as well as the sub 6, this has a DSP built in. So it has a tuned setup filter where the dB slope is set up, the octave slope is set up, the crossover is set up. So the crossover is set up with the proper slope for each speaker. So LYD5s, LYD7s, LYD8s, LYD48s. I think it has the core as well in there. So I can go in and I can adjust and change the crossover via the menu system to be tuned specifically where it's designed to work, very specific with the speakers, with the Dynaudio setup speakers. And you can run it with whatever you want. There's full custom capability of adjusting phase, adjusting all of your filters, adjusting how the subwoofer works, distances, all of that. You can adjust that all in the DSP of this if you wanted to, but it does have some prefab stuff that's set up for, if you're going to buy some LYDs, it's a perfect complement. But if you have something else, it will work. It will work just as well. And then you have the sub 6. So same woofers, but it does have grills, just like the the difference between the sub 3s. Notice the finish is satin black. You can get this in satin white or satin black, and then you'll notice the back is the same on this one. So this is where it gets confusing. So you have XLR and you have the RCA connections. So here's the life hack on these. Save yourself some money. If you don't have specific Dynaudio speakers, so if you don't have LYDs, evokes, emits, the DSP functionality in the sub 6 and sub 9S is identical, with the exception of, again, if you have the Dynaudio speakers, then it has the software or has the options for the appropriate speakers. So I have Contour 60s, so there's a Contour 60 setup. I have Heritage Specials, so there's a Heritage Special setup or Special DSP setup for the subwoofer, and so I'm running sub 6s and with those speakers. But if you don't have one of those speakers, or if you just want to set it up yourself and not use one of the Dynaudio pre-configured DSP software or DSP programs, you can buy the sub 18S. So the sub 18S is $17.99 versus $23.99. So it's a $500 difference between the two. It's the same amplifier, same 500 watt Class D amp, same 9-inch woofers, no grills, satin finish, whatever you'll call this, textured finish, and then the DSP program difference. But it's the same subwoofer, and it's actually a little more compact with not having the grills. In a lot of instances, you're going to take the grills off. But this finish will work better in your garage. You're going to have to be careful not to scratch this finish, because you get more dust in the garage than you would in the house. So you'd want to make sure you're cleaning it like you would clean the paint on your car. Put some, put some N914 on, spray it on, and do like a rinseless wash to it if you're going to wipe it down. Or this one, you could almost wipe it dry and it will be fine. And so the finish of the 18S is, combined with the fact that it's $500 less, is the hack. And so I think we'll be selling a lot more of these for the garage. Even if you do have some Dynaudio emits or something set up in the garage, I think you're going to want to buy this and just set it to a 24 dB. Change the with the appropriate like 6 dB slope or something like that. So just you choose one of the other prefabs DSP settings and not choose like LYD8s or whatever the setting that you would use if you had one of those speakers. So I have this, and I just swapped my JL sub for the sub 6 in my home theater. Oh, I'm telling you, it's so much better than I ever would have thought. So think about it. This is an 18-inch, basically an 18-inch woofer, because you get two 9-inch woofers. And I like the sound of sealed subwoofers generally, even though ported will be a little bit more fun. But I was afraid that even in a home theater environment, it wouldn't sound very good. But it's freaking incredible. I'm so in love with these subwoofers. I can't recommend them enough. I'm pleasantly surprised. I would rather have one of those Dynaudio subwoofers and one of these three over even a Dynaudio speaker. If I had to make a choice between a Dynaudio speaker and a Dynaudio subwoofer, and I had to use some other speakers, I'd choose the subwoofer. They are that freaking good. Just incredible. So if you're setting these up, the way that you'd set it up is you'd either run your either RCA or XLR cable. I generally prefer to run XLR if I could, but let's say I had a power node and a pair of emits. So my power node, and I was going to run a sub 18. So what I would do is, in almost all instances, in the garage specifically, I'm going to run an OSD audio wireless adapter. So all of our add-on subwoofer packages, you can add this on to our main packages. So the subwoofer setup would include what we would need. So let's say you were doing a passive speaker, regular 2-channel setup in the garage, and you were buying one of our systems and you have the subwoofer add-on option, it would include all these parts and pieces you would need to connect it. And so what we would do is we would run our OS setup. And so I would set it up to where I would run my subwoofer out connection to our transmitter like this. And the transmitter, I usually kind of have it sitting in my cabinet like this, where it was nice and clean. I'd kind of wire tie this up. And so this also has an audio, or I'm sorry, an AC to DC power connection that needs to be there as well. So I'd have that. I have my speaker wires running out to my speaker, and then I would then connect and attach my transmitter in the same fashion. So I take my transmitter, and I would just use RCA in this setup as well, so RCA would be fine. And I would run it to my left in and right in on my subwoofer. And these actually have they come with a little adapter that I would screw into my subwoofer, and I would kind of tie this wire up so it was nice, neat, and clean. I'd probably tuck this underneath the subwoofer like this and tie it up nice like that, and then I'd have my wireless connection, and I could put my subwoofer wherever I had a power outlet, and not have to worry about running wires. If I was going to hardwire it, the way I would set it up is I would likely set it up with again, a subwoofer is just easier to run with RCA. You could run it with XLR. The problem with XLR is getting a wire adapter for this. I haven't really tested it. You can run just the left in or just the right in, and it'll be fine. It will work. But I think it's better to run the stereo connection to these subwoofers. Connectivity would be the same on the Sub 6. So these OSD audios is $115 for your wireless receiver transmitter. I find that you don't have any issue with the quality of the sound and the speed at which it gets there. The only time you can have problems is if this is in a metal cabinet and you're trying to connect. This is basically like an old. I think these are 2.4 gigahertz connected, so it's like an old home phone connectivity from your output device to your subwoofer. But I think that's the best way to set it up, and we'll have these packages set up for you where it's nice and simple. That you get the Y adapters and the RCA cables that you need to make the connection. So here's the dream: 2300 or 2400, 1700. 4,000, $39.99 even. But if you look at this, take this, it's basically two of these, take two of these and stack them on top of one in one box. You don't have to have core speakers to have the core sub. You don't have to have a core sub to have core speakers. All of these will work together. So you could buy sub 18Ss with a pair of like core 7s or core 47s. You could buy a core sub with LYDs. You could run a core sub in your home theater. I'm intending to run core subs in my home theater with my Confidence 60 someday, but I'm hopefully building a house soon, and I'm going to run these in there. But I have two of these in the yarn building garage here, which is kind of stupid. But I'm not having two to have double the output. It's more to have more coverage and to kind of fill the room a little bit better. But this has 4 9-inch woofers. So 36 inches of excursion, air movement. By the way, the little guys play down to 22 hertz. These play down to 16 hertz in most rooms. This plays down to 15 hertz. This weighs 108 pounds, as I mentioned earlier. This has a dual Class D. Now, these are Pascal Class Ds, so higher quality Class D amplifiers, dual 500-watt amplifiers internally in this sucker. And then this has, I believe, the greatest finish for a garage subwoofer. It doesn't look super pretty for the house, but this crinkle, almost like rhino-lined finish, is, I think, frickin' perfect for the garage. And then notice it has feet on the top, or you could stack them if you wanted to. So they will sit on top of one another, so you could stack these if you really wanted to get nuts and do multiple core subs. So this is my personal sub. Here's how I have it set up. I have it set up like this. And so I have it on standby mode. I have it on low pass. Actually, no, I've been running these on full. I have it in free, so I don't like the wall and corner settings. I have it on anechoic as well versus soffit. So free, anechoic, I have it on L plus R, so I have it on left and right. Really, actually, this setting doesn't matter because we're not connecting this with an AES type soundboard with a digital connection. Attenuation is at 0. My sensitivity is at 0. And my SPL is at 112 dB, and you can play with the switches to kind of get it set up the way you like, but that's how I have mine set up. Make sure to go check out some of the other videos we did. Just search Core on the channel. We have a bunch of other videos of me setting this up in the Atlanta garage, in my garage here, where I'm kind of playing with these and showing you how to set it up. This I'm generally going to run, it has a single, not a stereo, but a single input. You're going to run to the analog in, you're going to run an XLR cable right to this. If you plan to use our digital connection, so if you're going to use the OSD audio connection, or we may end up with the SVS version in the future, then I'm simply going to use this adapter, or this RCA to XLR adapter connection. So I would come out of my receiver, out of the subwoofer out connection, and this works really well, and just connect like so. And then actually what you can do, you can take one of these screws out. So I'd take this screw out, there's a little bracket that this comes with, and it'll snap in nicely right to the back of the subwoofer. And if you kind of wire it up nicely, if you wire it up properly, this wire will actually sit, comfortably. I forget if I mounted it this way. I think I mounted it this way, and you can kind of tuck the wire where it'll sit naturally in this, right next to the heat sink here, and you have a nice clean setup. So 1,000 watts essentially, and 18 inches of excursion times 2. So 36 watts or 36 inches of excursion, high excursion woofers. It's just perfection. No real tuning necessary. You just set it up. I have mine set up, and so my suggested setup would be NAD C685 is your preamp, Core 59s or Core 47s connected with a direct XLR cable, and then Core subs connected with either your wireless dongle, your wireless transmitter receiver, or possibly go and get yourself just run an XLR cable right to this, and we have all those connections as well. So Core sub will melt your soul and change your life. It's freaking awesome. I mean, it's 108 pounds, and it's not even that significantly large. The Dynaudio subwoofer stuff, we have add-ons as an option you can add on to a pair of any of the speakers or the speaker setups that we have, or you can buy these a la carte as well. Hit me up, matt@obsessedgarage.com. If you're interested in getting yourself one of these crazy subwoofers, hit up Manny and his team, support@obsessedgarage.com if you have technical questions or you just want some quicker help buying. And if a lot of these are done in our designed garages, hit up design@obsessedgarage.com for Kyle and his design team to help spec out if you're asking questions. But I think 9S for your LYD5s on your desk, 18S's in most garage environments, the sub 6 if you're going to be doing very specific Dynaudio passive speakers like the Contours or the Special 40s or the Evokes or the Emits. So you're going to buy a pair of Emits in your garage, you want to add a sub 6 and just deal with the fact that it has a nicer cabinet. And then in any environment, with any speaker, any garage, any house, anywhere, Core sub, just know it looks very professional. It looks very stout, very industrial. Just know that the Core sub is quite a bit beefier. I love the rounded corners it has. I cannot explain to you how much I love these 3 subwoofers, and I do like for a desk setup, the 9S stuff. So all available in the Obsessed Garage store. It's costing me a fortune to inventory this stuff, but we generally have these in stock. If we don't, I can get them really quickly. You can reserve your spot and we'll nail it down for you. I'd really appreciate you buying this from us. It helps validate some of this craziness that I'm chasing, and I'm telling you, there's something special about an amazing subwoofer and a great pair of speakers in your garage. It can change your whole outlook on what you're doing. doing. In fact, I would suggest if you're building a garage, get your audio first. That way when you're putting all of your cabinets and everything together, get audio, even if it's set up on the ground, it changes the whole experience. It makes it a lot more fun to do some of the longer term projects or big projects we do in our garage. Thanks for your support. Go to obsessedgarage.com, buy the stuff. It'll make me happy, make me smile. See you soon.